Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Okay, looks like I have audio finally. It might be a little bit quiet. Sorry about that.
Okay,
I'm
looks
working
like
on
I
it.
have audio finally. It might be a little bit quiet. Sorry about
Wiggy-wigs, welcome to chat. We are still very, very new to this, so excuse any technical mess-ups. I'm not sure if the other guys from Vulcan Forge are going to be able to get in to join us or not. Um, it is the holidays and they're trying, but this was kind of a last-minute thing. So, okay, let me work on that. Give me a moment. Okay, well, I don't see any options here for me to fix that at the moment. Sorry about that. This is definitely not a professional streamer's setup by any means. So, Wiggy Wigs, are you part of Kickstarter? Are you on Kickstarter, or did you come from Reddit or Instagram or something? Okay, good deal. Do you know what your backer number is by chance? Was that number Jetspeed? Good to see you. And Notley, I've got Discord open if you want to join in the audio. I think it will work if you just join. Okay, Wiggy, don't worry about that. I've got it. Um, I've just got many, many windows open and can't open another at the moment. But I do know who you are. Looks like backer number 3. Yeah, there we go. Good deal. Jetspeed, you're from Reddit. Okay, good deal. I've got your name down. If looks like we're getting quite a few viewers in here, both here and on YouTube. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. The acrylic box that's in on the camera right now is a 5-color box, and I kind of put it up there to get some feedback because I'm not certain if the color on color layout is great or not. What I mean is, there's on the side that's facing us right now is blue on blue. There's blue in the back and blue in the front. Uh, and I think that a lot of people are preferring to have clear in the back and color in the front, so that you can see the cards and it just lets in more light. Um, can I flip the top around? I certainly can. Give me one moment. Yeah, Wiggy, these turned out really well. I'm incredibly happy with them. Um, I don't like making them. They take an insane amount of man hours to put these together. But the results you just can't argue with at all. They look and they feel just really, really nice. Okay, Notley, I see you in Discord. If you need to at any point, you can just unmute your mic and you will be on the stream. These were all made to order, Wiggy. We're doing, on the acrylic boxes, they cost so much to make and they take so much time that we're only making them to order. We're not pre-making them, and I'm not going to send any extras for aftermarket sales. So these are one and done. Whatever is ordered on the Kickstarter is what I'm going to make, and I'm not going to make any more. That may change in the future if we grow to the point where I can afford, to spend 5 or 6 man hours on a single box. And that's also the reason why these boxes are super expensive, is they do take a long time to make. Loot Sweeper, do you know what your backer number is? Okay, and Wiggy, I can actually help you out with that, and I could use some feedback from you if you give me just a few minutes. So my designer is out for an extended holiday over Christmas and New Year's. Um, and so we haven't got a lot done in the last week. Um, but he did finish your box. Now, I have not approved it yet because he added a logo, that might be the wrong word, a token on the top of the box that I'm not sure fits with the overall design, um, because I'm not an expert in Magic the Gathering by any means. And we were going to talk about it when he returns on the 2nd. But I will put that picture up so you can, or I'll put the box in so you can look at it here in just a minute. And I mean, you're the boss, right? So if you like it, then it's good to go. And Loot Sweeper, if you can hear me, if you have your backer number, I can check on that for you. Um, I'm looking for your name here, and it looks like you probably have a different name on Kickstarter. Ha, and I hear that, Wiggy. If it looks cool, I'm good with it too. And hey, at the end of the day, if you're happy with it, then I'm happy with it. So that's really, you know, all there is to it. And let me get that box in there real quick. Let me just type to Loot Sweeper here for just a moment. I don't know if he can hear me. Oh, and of course, it's not going to let me do that. Of course. Give me just a moment here while I figure out how to. Okay, Notley, if you're monitoring, can you type to Loot Sweeper for me? Ask him if he can hear me and what his backer number is. For some reason, I can't get logged into Twitch, believe it or not. That's kind of stupid. Let me, Wiggy, I'm going to throw your box in the light box here real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so um, The token in question is that one in the middle on the lid. Um, that is derived from some MTG token of some kind, but I've got no idea what, to be honest. And we've never used that token before on any box, which is why I questioned it and why I didn't immediately approve it, because I need to know kind of what we're putting out and make sure that it fits with the overall design. But other than that, the box turned out really good. We are actually going to have to remake it one more time. So this is just a prototype. That's unfortunate, but that's one of the downsides to working with all acrylic. Um, we haven't actually talked about this on any of our updates, but that on a technical level, excuse me, what happens is all of our acrylic sheets are different sizes, different thicknesses. And the differences are small. We're talking about less than 0.2 millimeters difference between the largest and the smallest. But that 0.2 millimeters is incredibly important because when you're running your fingers along the box, if one of the little tabs that stick out from the black is 0.2 millimeters bigger than the blue, for instance, you'll feel that with your fingers, and it's not smooth. And it's like something that you can get hung up on, like a string or something in your backpack, or it's just, it's not aesthetically pleasing. So one of the technical challenges we have is with these boxes is like, to give you a perfect example, if you look at the top of your box there, the black on the top is one size, but the blue that's fitting on that end on the very top of that top is a different thickness. And we have to adjust the tabs on the top of that box to fit the blue acrylic. And the same thing goes for the side acrylics. They're different colors in the bottom. Um, the result is it takes a good hour and a half or so of just adjusting tab sizes based on the thickness of the acrylic. And it's not the color of the acrylic that changes, it's the sheet. So every time we do a cut, we've got to check the sheet's thickness and then adjust the whole design accordingly. It's not really complicated. It's just monotonous, and it takes a lot of time to get it right. And this particular box was not adjusted, for instance. And so when I pick it up, I can feel the edges, and your fingers kind of get snagged on the corners because they're sticking out just a little bit further than the rest of the box. And so long story short, this box here that you're looking at would not pass my QA. Um, so it's just a show model, I guess. So the real one, assuming you like that symbol on the top, will be cut in the next 2 days, and we'll get it punched out, reassembled. That takes about 2.5 days, and then it's done. Let me Google that and see if that's what my designer showed me. Right before he left on holiday. Yep, that is exactly right. That is what he used as the base for that design. And just so you know, all of the designs that we have are derived from MTG symbols, but they are not MTG symbols. We don't copy and paste. Like this design that you're looking at there was hand drawn by our artist after getting inspiration from um, the Planeswalker, it looks like, online. So we do it that way. That way we have originals on paper for everything we make, just for copyright purposes. Um, and yeah, that way everything is perfectly legit. And even the really complicated ones, like one of our customers wanted, uh, I don't want to mess this name up, so give me a second and let me go look. It's a lion dude, and I am not seeing it in my immediate notes. I will keep looking here for just a minute. I'm here alone at the shop today, being it's the holidays, so there is nobody to help me with this stuff. Brimaz, it looks like. It's a lion warrior dude with a short sword and a shield. And in fact, if you give me just a second, I will put my prototype in on um, on what we did for him. Give me just a second. I'll put it in the camera. All right, so that's what we came up with. I know it's kind of hard to see the detail there, but it is fairly detailed. Um, and again, that was hand drawn by our artist and then converted into our laser etching program. And that's actually etched on black acrylic and then painted. So it turned out really good, I think. We're going to shrink that down a little bit, excuse me, and we're going to put that on one of the sides of his box for him. And it looks like we've got quite a few people in watching the stream, but not talking on chat. If you guys just want to say something in chat so that I get your names, so I can get you down. And anybody on YouTube can also speak. I'm monitoring both chats. My name is London. That is the original etching my artist gave me, but it's not necessarily the size that's going to go on the finished product. Because we have to open up the side of the box a bit to make it visible. So we're probably going to cut that down to probably 50% what it is now, maybe 75%. I want to try to keep it big so that it keeps its quality. Because the smaller you make it, the harder it is for the laser to etch the detail. Um, So that's actually going to be done after the holidays. This particular one is completely custom. So obviously it takes longer than a normal box would. So I'm expecting we'll have a finished box for that one that I can show off. Probably not by the end of the Kickstarter, unfortunately, um, but right around the same time as our Kickstarter will close. Generally speaking, it is London. This was a totally custom job. This one was something completely different. Um, I was just throwing it up here to show uh, one of the custom pieces that our laser can do. Yep, that's the way it is, Wiggy. I mean, we'll make anything. Um, you know, we try to keep it simple for the Kickstarter's purposes. So our thought process on that. Uh, okay, Lennon, you can still definitely do that. We've got plenty of time. Um, so my thought process and the way we designed this Kickstarter is that we have almost everything already produced that this Kickstarter is going to sell. Like, for instance, all of the regular deck boxes without customization that we put on this Kickstarter, we gave each tier a limited number, and we already made them. Um, so my thought process was if everything on the Kickstarter is done by the time the survey is completed, and the only thing we have left to do is to make the custom inserts with the custom graphics, we can go ahead and ship our products to our distributor and work on the custom stuff after that, and then FedEx them in an envelope since they're small and easy to ship. And that just speeds up the whole process and makes it so that people get their product, almost immediately after the Kickstarter finishes rather than have to wait, 3 or 4 months like usual. And London, we did sell this as part of the Kickstarter, but it was in negotiations with him after the fact. So we are actually shipping this with the Kickstarter, but no, it wasn't immediately available on the Kickstarter as a tier or an add-on. We're cutting people a lot of breaks on the all acrylic boxes. If you've got something special you want and you ordered an all acrylic box, just talk to us about it. If it's within our timetable and we can do it, then we will do it and no additional charge. It's all about timing. So that's really all there is to it. We do like working on custom stuff. A lot of our work here is really monotonous. The guys in the back, they do almost nothing but assemble boxes all day. And even our artist, for probably 3.5 months, uh, didn't get to work on a single bit of custom art. He was just assembling boxes like everybody else. So giving him something custom like this to work on really makes his day. But again, it's all about timing. It's all about what we can do in the time that we have. So yeah, London, send us an email or a direct message. If you have something custom you want on your box, just talk to us about it. If we can do it, we will be happy to do it. And more than likely, no additional charge. Not for this Kickstarter. All right, London, let me look you up here real quick and see what state your box is in real quick. Okay, your backer number 23. Okay, it looks like. All right, I've got a note on here that the design is done, but it has not been cut. And let me just see if you've been put in the cut order yet. Backer 23, you have not. So yeah, your box is still in the queue. Um, and so I can't actually show you the box, but what I can show you, and I don't know if this will make any sense to you at all since it's not, um, you would have to have experience in cutting the software to understand what you're looking at, really. But I will show you anyway because it is really cool. Let me just turn on my Lightburn overlay. So on the screen now, or what should go, there we go, is the software that we use to actually cut our products. And these are the outer pieces for your box. Again, it's really hard to get a grasp on what that's going to look like after it gets cut. But these are the sides that the artist picked when making your box. The inners are, to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure which all of these are them. I think it's these ones right here. They haven't been organized to cut yet. So my point there is that we have a lot of real estate to work with if you have something custom you want to go on this, and I'm more than happy to do that. Since it hasn't been cut yet, we've got plenty of time. Um, we can do it and get it right. Just get in contact with us, and I'm happy to do it. And Wiggy, to go more on the sizes I was talking about earlier. So this is what I call a consolidated cut sheet. These are actually cuts that are completed and ready to, or not, sorry, they're designed and ready to be cut. And I'm the one that actually does this part. So this file here, when I'm ready to cut one of these boxes, I will move the parts or actually copy them from this section here to up here on these sheets. Each one of these sheets represents a piece of colored acrylic that we have already measured and prepared for um, our cutting. And London, Facebook is just fine. So each one of these sheets has been measured, and the way we do that is we cut out 5 little boxes in the very corner of the sheet. Each one of those boxes is about 5 millimeters square. We'll take those 5 pieces and we'll stack them up and we'll measure them, and then we'll divide by 5, and that gives us this number up here, which is the size of the acrylic thickness in millimeters. Then when we prepare for the cut, we'll adjust it like I talked about earlier, so that each tab that connects to blue, for instance, will be exactly 3.09 millimeters deep. The tabs that connect to red will be 2.89. The tabs that connect to white will be 3.15, and so on. Once we do that, these blue pieces that you see down here are pieces that have already been cut out of that piece of acrylic. Now I leave them there so that my template knows that we've already used that bit of acrylic, and I'll take the new piece that I need to cut and drag it up to an empty spot, put it exactly 1 millimeter away from the old piece that was already cut, and then I'll cut that piece right there. I'll put the sheet of acrylic in the laser, and our laser knows where that is on the sheet, so that we literally don't waste any acrylic at all. There's 1 millimeter scrap acrylic in between pieces, no more, no less. Any less, and sometimes the acrylic will melt and kind of get, I don't know, just really weak. So we try not to do that. But this way, it allows us to not only cut to the exact right specifications, but we don't waste acrylic, because acrylic is really expensive. Okay, now let me go throw a couple different boxes in. I'll be right back. All right, so on the screen now, we've got a mono white box with a clear inner. And the clear inner seems to be the most popular by far because you can see the cards through it. It really makes the colors pop, especially in a light room, a bright light room. Um, and I don't know, people tend to like them. Even though our other boxes, the multicolors are much more popular. The uh, the box on the left is a mono red, but it's the Baldur's Gate design. That one doesn't seem to be as popular as I thought it would be. Um, I don't know why. Maybe it's just not a popular um, crossover. So we're hoping that some of those will sell. We've got a whole lot of them in stock. We'll be sending them to game stores in the first part of the year, and we'll see how that goes. I think the design looks really, really good. The dragons and the floating cities are just really, really nice. Well done by the artist. And yeah, I know my mic is pretty bad. I'm getting messages about it. Nothing I can do about it on this stream, but the first of the year we're going to be definitely doing more online than we have in the past. And one of the things on my list is to get a better streamer setup, better cameras, a better mic, things like that. Yeah, Wiggy, I agree. I can see that. I think there's going to be a couple caveats to that. I think the Warhammer 40K crossover is going to become a lot more popular in the coming months. If you haven't seen the news, Henry Cavill has got a new Warhammer 40K show that's going to be coming up on, was it Netflix? I think it was Netflix. And I am guessing that that's going to make the popularity of Warhammer 40K everywhere, even in MTG, just take a sharp spike. Um, so we are okay. So you haven't seen those yet. So here in a minute, I'll take some Warhammer 40K prototypes that we've got and I'll put them up on the camera. So about 2 weeks ago, give or take, I sent um, the order to my artist to generate Warhammer 40K boxes. He did a little bit of research and he found that there are 4 different commanders that Wizards put out for Warhammer 40K. And you'll have to pardon me, I'll have to actually Google it to see which they are right now. I do know there were 4 of them. Uh, and of course, I can't find the page that shows me that information. Just oh, here we go. It looks like okay. We got Tyranid Swarm, the Ruinous Powers, Necron Dynasties, and Forces of the Imperium. So as of right now, we have completed designs for the Tyranid Swarm and the Ruinous Powers, both in the standard Commander deck box and the Commander deck box XL. I say completed. They haven't been reviewed, and I'm certain that we're going to come up with little changes that the designer is going to need to make. But we do have finished prototypes that are ready for that review to happen. Um, Now, the last thing that he sent to me before he left for holiday is that the Necron Dynasty's design is finished. It has not been cut, um, so I can't look at it. And I think he did that on purpose just because he knows it would drive me crazy. And you know what? Just for fun, I'm going to turn my light burn back on, and I'm going to open up what I hope is his design file. And I have never looked at this, so we will see. Necron. Now, funny thing, it says Necron backup. So the original file is not here, but I've got a backup. So you guys are seeing this for the very first time along with me. I've never looked at it. This is the design that he came up with for the Necron Dynasty's 40K box. I know it's tough for you guys to imagine what that's going to look like when it gets cut. And I can't really help you with that. It's kind of difficult. The red lines are cut out. The blue lines are etchings, and the orange is engraved, like burnt. But it looks like he did a good job. I don't know how a lot of these shapes and symbols match up to the ethos, and that's actually part of the process that I go through when I'm reviewing a box. I will look at the pictures, and then I'll read up on the ethos of that particular um, commander or whatever, and make sure that the pictures just make sense. That they're not completely out of line. Uh, these pieces are the acrylic. They'll be behind the wood. For instance, if you look at these two side by side, um, these two orange marks on the acrylic piece are going to be the eyes that you see behind the wood cutouts on the other side. So this looks like it should be good. It looks like there's no XL box here. Here are some of the pieces that he used for either inspiration or temporary work, something. So we should have all four of the Warhammer 40K boxes done and cut, I would say by the 3rd or the 4th of the month. And another announcement that we've um, not exactly decided on yet, but we're almost 90% sure that it's going to happen. Um, we have been asked by one of our largest customers in the U.S., which is a game store in California, to add in a few other games to our deck boxes. Um, Sorry, let me just respond to this. Big Daddy, welcome. Um, this is the new Commander deck boxes for Warhammer 40K, the Necron Dynasties. They have not been cut yet, so I can't actually show you a box. But what we were just talking about is that the 40K is the next iteration of what we're making here at Vulcan Forge. We're going to be putting them up for, I don't know if it's going to be a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo. Because of the rules of Kickstarter, we can't start another one until all of the products are received by the customer from the old Kickstarter. And unfortunately, with having an overseas factory like ours, it takes, almost 2 months if everything works perfectly from the time that we ship them here until the time that you receive them at your house. And we really want to try to put out another Kickstarter sooner than that. So we may go with Indiegogo on a small 40K launch. I don't know. But this is definitely going to be the next product we put out is the 40K boxes. Now, Wiggy, what I was saying earlier is that after the 40K, Next on the line is going to be, let me look them up so I don't get them wrong. We're going to be adding several new games, including Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, and One Piece, and probably Pokemon as well. And we're going to do simple designs for those. They're not going to be like full product lines, probably just a single design for each game. And we're going to put them all out at the same time. So we're just kind of expanding our range a little bit. Um, Now, Big Daddy, since you're interested in the 40K boxes, if you give me just a moment, I'm going to go take our existing 40K prototypes and put them on the camera so you can see them. Give me just a moment and I'll do that. Okay, the ones that you're looking at right now are the Ruinous Powers, both Standard and XL. Um, I think these are completed. I think they're correct. It's red, blue it looks like. So yeah, these are the Ruinous Powers boxes. One standard size Commander deck box and one of the XL boxes. Now the standard size box holds 100 plus double sleeved cards using the Dragon Shield thicknesses. And the XL boxes hold almost double that. They're intended for both triple sleevers and for people who like to take like a lot of extra lands or a side deck, whatever. In the XL boxes, we've also got the spacer that goes in there, the locking spacer that keeps your deck separated. So you can have two or three different decks in there and keep them separated so that they don't get mixed up. Now this is also showing the box, the XL box with the four spinners. Those are optional, um, but a lot of people are going for them. And I think they really work well. They work good. They look good. The magnets are super strong, um, and they're just really, really easy to use, pleasing to the eye, and they make the box just look so much more, I don't know, better. We do offer those on the small boxes as well, but this particular one does not have one. And Big Daddy, where did you come from? Reddit? And are you the one that I replied to? What was it, earlier in the day or yesterday? And if there's anybody else in chat, please make sure you say something in chat, even if it's just a smiley face or something, so that we can record your name. Okay, got it. Good. Well, welcome. Here in just a moment, I will go replace these out for the Tyranid boxes, which are also completed. Beowulf, welcome. If you have any questions or comments, please do not hesitate, good or bad. Believe it or not, some of our best ideas have come from nasty comments. Um, if somebody sees something that's just completely off, it's not because um, we're stupid. It's because we're ignorant. And the only way you can learn something is, if somebody who knows what they're talking about tells you. So we definitely appreciate feedback, both good and bad, and especially the bad, because it really does help us improve. Um, if we make dumb mistakes, it's because we're not lifelong MTG players. We're lifelong gamers, so we definitely understand the nuances once we're shown. Um, but we need to be shown to understand, right? So yeah. Um, I don't know if it's supposed to be a Space Marine, but I'll tell you what, I can actually bring up the design file, and that might show it in enough detail that you can make that determination. Give me just a second. All right, so this is the box that you're looking at. Um, and let's see, which side? Let me look at that side again real quick. I can't tell which one that is, to be honest, because it's an XL box, and I don't think I have the XL box design here. I don't. Um, Let me actually open that one, if I've got it. I think I do. And so, yeah, welcome to my world. This is a normal design file from the artist. I have no clue which of those pieces actually made it into the final production. Like most artists, he's a little bit unorganized when he's working. It all makes perfect sense to him, but the rest of us just, yeah, we can't find anything we're looking for. So I've got to make some assumptions here. And the assumption that I'll make is that one of these two is what we're looking for. So to make this easily readable, I'm going to flip them. Do them like that. So I assume it's this one we're talking about. And let me see if I can find the other part of this. There it is. And we'll put those together. So does that look like a Space Marine to you? So yeah, this is the Space Marine then, if that's part of the Ruinous Powers. I'm completely ignorant about the ethos on these. I haven't started researching them yet. That's something that I usually do after all the design is done. So I will be doing it, uh, and hopefully learning a lot. And Big Daddy, if you like Tyranids, give me just a second. Let me put the Tyranids up for you. I'll be right back. All right, so the Tyranid design. He did something, our designer did something different on this box that, to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure is going to make it into the final cut. Um, if you look at the box on the left, you'll notice that the teeth of that critter are very sharp, pointy things. At London, no, you did not. You're good. Um, that look like the mouth of, I guess, is supposed to be a Tyranid opening up. Um, it looks really cool, but those spikes are sharp, and I mean super sharp. And if we were to make this into an acrylic box and make that particular piece out of pure acrylic, I know for a fact that people would get stuck and get stuck very, very badly. Uh, and Wiggy, I'll put one together so you can look at it in just a second. I just wanted to put it like that so that you can see it. Um, again, I don't know that that's going to make it into the cut. I don't want to say dangerous, but darn it, it is. Um, a fully acrylic one, I can see it being incredibly dangerous because we have pieces of acrylic here that get cut to a point every so often. Um, and those pieces, I've cut myself, so I could definitely see it happening. And yeah, Beowulf, that's definitely a possibility. What I guess I should have said is I don't think they're going to make it into the cut in their current shape. I definitely like the idea of the teeth, um, locking together to form the box and the face. I think that's really, really cool. And the first thing I told him when I saw this design was, damn, dude, that's awesome. And I think it is. It really does look awesome. Um, but yeah, they are really, really sharp. So, I mean, maybe we'll have both and just make sure that people know when they buy these ones that, yeah, don't stick your little brother with them because it's going to friggin' hurt. Let me go stick that box back together and turn the other sides on the other one. One moment. So maybe it's just me, but that closed box with the teeth and the eyes staring out at you like that, man, it's like you say, Wiggy, it looks sick. It's awesome. It is really cool. I love that design. And it looks like my guys left the paper backing on the back of the spinners on that one. That was oops. And by the way, all of our spinners are completely interchangeable. You can order extra sizes like 0 through 9, 0 through 20. We have Roman numerals, a few other options, and they can be ordered with or without symbol engravings, like the symbols for each particular color, like the fire and the water and whatnot. And they're completely interchangeable. So if you need to count mana, you drop in your blue ones. If you want to count health, you drop in the red ones, etc. Not as much as you might think, Wiggy. The acrylic we use is 3 millimeters thick, and it's pretty resilient. I mean, it is like it's not plastic, right? It's a completely different chemical structure than plastic. So I mean, if you were to drop them, then yeah, they'd probably break off. Um, for acrylic, for wood, they're pretty solid. I don't think the wood's going to break very easy. And all of our deck boxes are fairly rugged, but they are works of art and they are glued together, which means that if you apply enough force to break the glue, then the box is going to break. Now, that's not easy to do for our wood and acrylic boxes, but it can possibly happen. Now, here in the shop, we spent 2 years fighting with the glue. Um, in particular, there are so many little things that we've adjusted to make sure that these are incredibly strong. And the glue is one of them. And in particular, the environment when we apply the glue is super important. For instance, for our first year in operation, we had no idea about any of that. And we applied the glue no matter how much humidity we had in the room. Well, it turns out that if the humidity is above 50%, then the acrylic glues in particular do not work well at all, and your acrylic ends up falling apart after a few months. We learned that lesson, and now we have a humidity-controlled environment that we do our gluing in, and we cure our boxes for 24 to 48 hours after gluing, just to prevent that from happening. So the current glue that we use for both wood and acrylic, the actual material breaks before the glue. So if you take two pieces of acrylic and we glue them together in our environment and then try to break them, the acrylic will eventually break. It'll snap like plastic, right? Because that's what it is essentially. But it will snap on the acrylic. The glued part will not break. So, and it's the same thing really for everything we do. Um, in particular, the full acrylic boxes. Acrylic, by its nature, is fragile. If you drop one of those acrylic boxes from any height at all, there's a good chance it's going to break. Now, the glue bonds will probably hold, but that's the strongest part of the box, right? That's not where it's going to break. It's going to break on one of the acrylic pieces that have been either engraved or cut to look nice, because that's the weak points. So overall, I'd say our boxes are incredibly strong for what it is. Um, but at the end of the day, it's still a handcrafted um, box that could possibly break. So be careful with them. uh, Backer number 18. Give me just a moment. Let me look that up. And it's not that fragile, Wiggy. You do want to be careful with it because it is acrylic, and like any acrylic, it can scratch. And if they scratch, they don't look great. Backer number 18. Let me see what we got here. 18009. Yeah, we get a lot of those. We ignore them. That's all you can do. Okay, so backer 18, I've got some good news for you. Maybe. Give me just a moment to check the disposition of that. Okay. Ah, okay. Backer 18, you were the gold paint, right? It looks like a white XL box, clear inner standard MTG artwork with gold paint. Well, this thing says that you are finished, and I think I know where it's at, but I'm not 100% positive. Give me just a moment. I'm going to go look for it. Guys, this might take me a couple of minutes. We've got hundreds of boxes back there, and I'm not sure which one this is, so give me a moment. All right, number 18. That's your box on the screen. The only thing it doesn't have are the magnets. The magnets have not been applied yet because your box is still doing the 48-hour. Well, it's done now, but at the time my designer left for holiday, it was still in its 48-hour curing period. So some background for those of you listening in. What we do when we bind our acrylic, it's not a glue that we use so much as a chemical that melts the acrylic, essentially. Um, and, it, and that's really a bad way to put it because it's more complicated than that. It's a chemical process that happens to bind the acrylic. Um, and it binds fairly quickly within, 3 to 4 minutes. If you move the piece a little bit, you won't really be able to wiggle it. But if you really give it a jerk, it'll pull right off. And it takes 24 to 48 hours to cure until it's, completely hard. And the way these acrylic boxes are assembled, that actually happens in 4 steps. The inner top and the inner bottom are assembled first, and then the outer top and the outer bottom are applied to those. So it's really 4 stages, 24 hours each, that has to be cured. So this particular box was in that final stage of curing before getting magnets applied to it and then being cleaned and QA'd. Um, when my guys took their holiday for the holidays. Um, so this guy was in the curing box back in the back. Um, it's kind of hard to see the gold paint, but I'll tell you what. Let me see if I can move some stuff around back there and get the camera closer so you can see the gold. Give me 1 second. And for the rest of you, gold paint is not something that we normally offer. This was just in a conversation with Loot Sweeper earlier that we just happened to have a gold paint pen sitting here. We'd never used it in production before. And he was like, let me see what that looks like. And during another live stream, we actually test engraved I forget what we engraved. We did something. And showed him the gold. And he's like, that looks great. I want that instead of the black paint on my box. And that's where this came up with. And this is definitely something we will offer in the future, different colored paints. Um, so yeah, and jet speed, I definitely hear you. It's 9 a.m. here where I'm at, and I've been up all night. So have a good sleep, um, and enjoy your New Year's tomorrow. It's going to be great. And give me a second, and I'll change the camera angle. One moment. All right, so yeah, that gold paint really comes through in person, but it's kind of hard to see with the background the way it is there. But it does look good. It looks really good. I think you'll be happy with it. Now, give me just a moment here to get my notes up to date on the chats because I think you can go back and look at chats, but I'm not sure how to do it. So I want to make sure I get all your names on here. All right, Beowulf, are you still with us? If so, do you know what your backer number is on Kickstarter? All right, yeah, please do. I'm trying to keep track of everybody the best way that I can. I know there's better ways to do this, because I belong to I follow a couple YouTube channels that do giveaways. Um, One in particular, he gets hundreds of thousands of messages in his videos. Something will never match up to that, but I have no clue how he manages that. There's got to be some sort of software or something um, that does that for him. But as it is, I don't even know how to go back into Twitch to see our chats after the fact. Yeah, Big Daddy. So we've definitely had our ups and our downs here. Um, we spent about a year and a half creating products that just didn't click with the customers. Um, and we've funded the entire thing ourselves. There's four of us that got together to do this, and well, two of us really that have put everything into this. I've been doing it now full time as my full time job for the last 2 years. Um, and you know, it's expensive. Like this Kickstarter that we're doing now, it's going to make us about 10 grand. And thank you, Beowulf. Um, and that 10 grand after fees and shipping, etc., is about enough money to run the shop for 1 month. Um, and because of the logistics involved with the way Kickstarter works and their rules about not having two Kickstarters open at once, etc. Um, in the past, we've only been able to run Kickstarters about once every 6 months. So, you know, obviously that's not enough money to keep the shop open. Now we've been funding it by hand because we definitely think that we have the framework for something really good here. Um, the other side of the coin is even when we're producing at full capacity right now, we can't produce enough to sell like to Amazon because they want thousands of products, and that would take us, as it is right now, 6 or 8 months to produce, but they want that every month. So until we grow to the point where we can do that, we're really kind of stuck on Etsy and Kickstarter. We're now starting to expand out to some game stores that are local to us in the U.S. Um, and we're hoping that that just expands slowly over the next year. Um, but yeah, um, we're developing the framework slowly, um, but that's what we kind of got to do to keep everything affordable for us. Like, right now, we're dropping about $4,000 a month out of our pockets into the shop. Um, but you know what? It's paying off in not only the quality of the product that we're able to make visually, but also in the strength and durability of the products we're putting out. If I were to put this box side by side with one of our first acrylic towers from 2 years ago, the differences are just astounding. Not only visually, but also in quality. I can take the acrylic from 2 years ago, and it doesn't take any strength at all for me to break it apart. Because back then we had no idea that humidity was such a big deal. And here where our factory is, it averages 90% humidity year round. And if it rains out, which is, 7 months out of the year, we're talking 99 to 100% humidity at any given time. So if you don't have a sealed room with multiple um, dehumidifiers running, um, the quality of your glue is just really, really bad. And we didn't know that back then, and now we do. And that's only one of many lessons we've learned the hard way over the last 2 years. So while we have spent a lot of money keeping this up and going, we don't consider it a waste. We think it's money well spent. We're also proud that we don't have any big investors to worry about. We don't have any debts other than to ourselves. Um, so yeah, we think that we're going down the right track, and we're hoping to expand rather quickly from this point out. Now that we've got a product that really does seem to be catching on. Um, we're hoping that it keeps on doing that, and we can start getting these out to game stores around the country here very soon. And Loot Sweeper, we have actually done that a little bit, but not a lot. I know we could do better. So one of the things that we're going to be doing in the first of this year, probably around February or March, is I'm going to look to hire a full-time social media person. Um, Now, because of the nature of where I live and the people here don't generally speak English really well, Um, I'm probably going to have to approve and or tweak everything that they put out. Um, but once we get a framework of some designs with wordings that I like set up, we should be able to increase our social media presence to the point where I would feel comfortable reaching out to the large MTG YouTube channels. Whereas right now, for instance, if so yesterday I was on Twitter, and just for the heck of it, I tagged Mr. Beast, and I said, Mr. Beast, come check out our Kickstarter. It's closing in 4 days. And we joked about this a while back. Um, and I waited until it was 2 to 3 days before the YouTube or the Kickstarter closes on purpose because we don't want to go viral. Because if we were to go viral with this right now, we would have two options essentially if we sold like thousands of them. We would have to either expand quickly so that we could get the products out the door in a reasonable time, or some people would have to wait months or a year for their product. And both of those are unacceptable to us. We don't think that you should have to wait for months to see what you paid for. At the same time, there's logistics involved, right? So even a best case scenario for us is when the Kickstarter finishes, it's going to be 2 months before they get to the customer. And even that I consider personally to be terrible, but I can't fix it. There's nothing I can do about that. And that's one of the reasons we're still mostly on Kickstarter. We have started selling to some game stores, like I said, but those game stores found us on Kickstarter. We have not directly advertised to any game stores yet. Um, that is on my to-do list for the next year. Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up, Wiggy. So I did actually start doing some research um, on these people on YouTube and Twitch, and the professor came up. And when I first saw his channel, I was excited for two reasons. Number one, it seemed like the type of things that he did was right in line with what we're doing. He does a lot of unboxing. Um, that type of video would really do well for us. And he lives in Portland, Oregon, which is where Notley lives. Notley was in the chat earlier here. He's one of my partners. We started this company together. And so we thought that, hey, heck, he's local. Notley can just go talk to him, go meet the guy face to face. And that's it. Face-to-face meetings are something that used to happen with gaming a lot back in my day. Nowadays, a lot of it is online. But I still personally put a lot of um, importance in face-to-face gaming. I really do. And that's one of the reasons we started this company in the first place, is we want to increase the gaming presence in the real world. And there we go. Loot Sweeper, you just hit the nail on the head what I was going to bring up with Wiggy. The reason we have not contacted him directly is because he did put out his own Kickstarter for his own deck box that's directly competing with ours. And seeing as he's a competitor in that project, at least, we didn't feel it was appropriate to contact him. Um, and you know what happened with him, we don't want to happen with ours, right? Uh, like you're saying, Wiggy and Loot Sweeper, we don't want people to wait for 2 years for a deck box. We just don't. I understand that sometimes that happens, but we're really trying hard to make sure it doesn't happen to us. Now, we've got our contingency plans in place if it were to happen, so that we could probably fulfill within a year. But keep in mind that our bottleneck is our laser. Our laser is, we've got two lasers. Both of them are really good lasers, but one of them is much more, has a much higher quality than the other. And so we use it for 90% of what we do. The big laser we generally use just to cut our material down so it'll fit in the smaller laser. Now, I say smaller, but it's still really big, really heavy, and really expensive. Um, so they weigh about 800, 900 pounds. They take 2 months to get once you order. And to be perfectly honest, our shop can't hold any more of them. So we would have to expand. We would have to get um, another location, and we'd have to order the lasers from China and get them shipped over here. Uh, and then, of course, we'd have to hire the people to do the assembly. Now, we could do that. And like I said, if we did go viral, we do have that plan in place that we can initiate in a fairly quick time frame, so that we hope that we could get everything produced within a year. But then we would have a problem because once we fulfilled that particular large order from going viral, we would have to have sales coming in to keep that quantity moving to justify the expense of the $100,000 or whatever that it would cost us for the lasers and the new shop and the new employees. Um, and we do eventually want to get to that point, and we think we can. We just don't want it to happen overnight because there's a lot of problems that can jump in your way if that happens. Okay, so Loot Sweeper, the way we're going to do this is we're going to give away at least 3 products. One is simply going to go to a random person that said anything at all in the chat. I've got the names of everybody in the chat, um, and that's as good as it is. That's very simple. The second one is going to go out to people who participate the most in the chat. If there's more than one of those, then we just randomly pick between them. And the third one is going to be for the best suggestion or comment or something that makes us think. We're going to go through the chat and look at what people say and just pick based on that. So there's a lot of randomness to it. There's one that's not going to be as random. Um, and yeah, just that. It's that simple. We just want to give a few away. These boxes, they take time to make, but in the big scheme of things, giving away 3 boxes is definitely not going to hurt us financially. And I think it's a good thing to do just to give back to the community, because the Kickstarter community as a whole, and now we're expanding that out to Reddit and Twitch and whatnot. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here. And that's just as simple as it is. I mean, that's it. So we don't sell directly to game stores, so we rely on you guys, the customers. If you're not buying from us, then we're dead in the water. I appreciate that, Loot Sweeper. We tried hard on them. Um, I'm really glad you liked it, and I hope that more people feel the same way. And Ace, have you backed this Kickstarter already? And if you have, do you know your backer number? And good night, Loot Sweeper. I'll talk to you again soon. Okay, no worries. I can find it, or well, I don't know if I can find it because if your name is not the same there as it is here, I probably can't cross-reference. But I do have your name here, so I can message you if I need to. So at least I assume I can. You know what? I'm making a huge assumption there. Let me just make sure I can do that before I. Okay, yeah, I can chat with you now that I've got your name. So that's all I needed. That's good. So Beowulf, yes. Okay, so that is part of a conversation that we've already had. Um, for those of you on YouTube that can't read what Beowulf and Twitch just wrote, he said that we're undervaluing our boxes, that we could charge a higher price for them easily. And I agree that it is possible um, that people would pay more, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're worth more. Um, we're making a fairly good profit margin on these boxes. And I say fairly good. every company in the world wants to make as much money as they can, right? But we made the decision early on to keep our boxes as cheap as we possibly could to maintain a profit margin that would let us keep our business open um, without breaking the bank, I guess. And these are the numbers that we came up with. And some of us in our little group think that they're still too expensive. We would like them to be cheaper. Um, but once we pay the 30% to the game store and the 30 to 40% to our salespeople, um, the price is as low as we can make it um, realistically and still keep a profit. But I'm personally of the opinion that if I can sell 10 boxes for $10 or one box for $100, I'm going to sell the 10. I'll make the same profit, but I'll have 10 happy customers instead of one. And in my mind, that is much more worth it to me as a person and as a gamer um, than making the biggest bucks I possibly can off of our products. Yeah, Beowulf, that does suck. Um, to be perfectly honest, it sucks a lot. We talk about it a lot, and we've like I said, there's four of us in the company, and we have essentially taken turns putting in. Uh, if the company owes us back, and of course it does because this is a business, right? Then we're about $100,000 in debt to ourselves, um, and that's a lot of money. I mean, even for people that do fairly well in their professional lives, we all four of us when we got together, we are all professionals in different fields. I was in IT. Notley builds houses. Zerg is also in IT, and Angel's a salesperson. We do fairly well, but yeah, you're right. It does suck when we're definitely not in the green as a company yet. Um, and if we're only able to do one Kickstarter every 6 months, we never will be, right? But there's a huge but at the end of that, and that is this. When we started this 2 years ago, none of you guys knew about us, all right? And we weren't making these deck boxes because we didn't have a full-time artist. We didn't know how to properly glue the acrylic. We didn't know which wood glue works the best for this particular type of wood. All those lessons that we've learned over the last 2 years are 100% necessary for putting out a proper quality product that will last, a reasonable amount of time. Everything breaks down eventually, but you don't want it to break down in your third game, right? That just sucks. Well, 2 years ago, if you would have bought from us, that could very well have happened. And I'm sure we've got customers out there mad at us because that did happen for some of our early products. And I feel terrible about that. So the 2 years and the money that we've put into this, I mean, it sucks having to have put it out and not making money yet, but it was money very well spent. In my mind, it was an investment, and it was an investment that already has paid off. Even if we were to close tomorrow, um, what we accomplished and the knowledge that we've gained was worth the price that we paid. And we're at a point now where if we do get popular and if the game stores come in and they like our product and they start placing orders that allow us to expand and to grow and eventually make money, we couldn't have done that. We couldn't have gotten to the point that where that's possible without putting in that investment, not only of the money, but also the time. And Beowulf, we've never used Indiegogo. I have started an account, and it is my intention to start an Indiegogo for our 40K boxes probably within a month of this Kickstarter closing, and we will alternate. And yes, we do have Etsy. Um, so earlier on, I talked about the logistics and the supply chain that we use. The biggest part of that is that shipping between my factory here and Notley's house, which is essentially our distributor in Portland, Oregon, that process takes about 2 months, and it costs a minimum of $3,500. So we can't make that shipment every month because we've been losing money because we can't produce enough product in a month to make that cost worth it. So we ship about every 3 months. Um, and so far, we haven't been able to keep a large enough stock at that distribution point in the US so that Etsy is a alternative. Because with Etsy, you have to ship the product uh, within a couple of days of the sale. So Etsy is difficult. Now, that being said, we do have Etsy. And some of our dice towers are on Etsy and have been for some time, and we've sold a number of them on there. And just yesterday, I added 171 deck boxes from our last Kickstarter that are overstock onto Etsy. And nobody knows that yet. I haven't posted it on any social media. It was my intention and still is my intention to do so, but I was probably going to wait until the end of this Kickstarter. But you guys that are listening here, if you saw our last Kickstarter and you liked the boxes, there are 171 boxes available on Etsy right now uh, in our store that are immediate ship items because they were on the last Kickstarter. um, Most of those are mono boxes, but there are a few multicolors, some two colors, some three colors, some four colors, and even some five colors. So there's quite a few. And Nihilist, I apologize, I wasn't watching YouTube chat. Thank you for that. And no, I agree completely that the more people that buy our deck boxes, the more advertisement we have. And we're definitely seeing that. Like our last Kickstarter did considerably better than this one, but, and this is a huge but, don't take that as a negative, it's not. This Kickstarter was for XL boxes, which we consider a niche item, right? Not many people need the XL box. And on top of that, it was for Baldur's Gate, which again is not a very popular crossover. So we never expected this Kickstarter to do nearly as well as the last one did. And in fact, it's done almost half as well, almost 10,000 bucks. So I consider that a huge win in the big scheme of things. Our next Kickstarter will be fairly similar, and I say Kickstarter, but I really mean probably Indiegogo. And that's going to be the 40K boxes, and we might even throw in the Digimon and the One Piece and the other boxes that we're going to put in, because again, I think those are not going to sell very well um, in the big scheme of things. Now, I did not want to repost the multicolor boxes, which, by the way, are the most popular by far of our boxes, on Kickstarter because we've already done a Kickstarter for them. And I know a lot of people do that. They put the product up again a second time. And I don't feel right about that because in my mind, Kickstarter is about something new, not something that you've had for a while and you just want to sell more of. So in that vein, we did create a whole bunch of our multicolor boxes in the last few months. In fact, probably $80,000 worth of them. And they will be shipping along with this Kickstarter shipment. And at that point, they will be available on Etsy, and we'll also be advertising to game stores to try to sell them in bulk to local game stores around the Pacific Northwest. And again, that's something nobody knows. We haven't advertised it. If some of you guys are watching our live streams from time to time, you'll see the boxes in the background when I move the camera. We have like 57 huge boxes that are ready, that are packed and ready to be shipped. The vast majority of those boxes are the multicolor boxes from the last Kickstarter. We just made a whole bunch more of them. Um, so yeah, Etsy is great. We like Etsy. We do plan on using it more in the future than we have in the past, simply because we did not have the stock available. Um, Unlike the last Kickstarter, we spent the time between that Kickstarter and this one, which is about 6 months. My artist was busy creating the new art for the new boxes that we made, but my other employees were all assembling the multicolor boxes. And we spent 6 months doing that. So we're going to have a whole lot of them to sell. And with any luck at all, they will sell. And if they do, then we're golden. If we can sell the products that we have on hand ready to ship after this Kickstarter, that's enough money to keep this shop open and to keep the bills paid without us having to put any money into it for over a year. So on that particular front, we're doing really, really well, I think, um, provided the interest is there. So, and I think it is. You guys have spoken. And enthusiastic nihilist, have you backed this Kickstarter? And if not, where did you hear about us from? Was it Reddit or somewhere? And Wiggy, which one did you buy? We have Frost, Gelatinous, and Cthulhu. Nice. That's the most popular one by far. Yeah, everybody loves the Cthulhu. It turned out really, really well. Now, that particular Cthulhu tower was made before we got our new artist. Um, so I haven't released him on that yet. Originally, my plan was to set him free on some of our old designs and see what he can do to make them better. And I've got no doubt he can really do some magic with those. But even without him doing it, the Cthulhu turned out really, really well. You're going to love it. It's a really good box. And Big Daddy, no, don't worry about it. I've got your name on here, and I can message you through YouTube. So that'll be perfectly fine. And Nihilist, yeah. Again, the reason we haven't reached out to game stores or to Professor at Tellurian Community College, um, we're not ready yet. We don't have the capacity to go viral. So right now, at the end of the day, we can make about 20 boxes per day with our bottlenecks the way they are right now. Um, we have talked about and created a plan for expanding quickly if necessary. So if this thing were to blow up on us, we can handle it. And, granted, we wouldn't be shipping by February, which is our current plan, but we can handle it, and we could roll with the punches, and you'd get your boxes before you get your Professor deck box from Kickstarter, because that's going to take him a minute. We're not going to get that big. We won't let it. We put limits on this Kickstarter just to make sure that didn't happen, actually. Um, that being said, the greedy part of us, if we were to sell out for some unknown reason, we'd probably put other tiers up that let us sell more of them just with a different shipping date. Um, and yeah, we could roll with those punches. But the next year is really going to be interesting for us. I've got a plan in place that will let us expand to about 10 times the capacity we have now without costing a whole lot more money. But again, that's something that I want to do kind of slowly. I don't want to be forced into it. So I really don't want to go viral. And, the Tellurian Community College with Professor, if he were to do a live stream on us, um, I don't want to say that it would hurt us more than help us because that's obviously not true. Uh, but it would definitely be stressful. So yeah, that's the reason we haven't reached out to him yet. And game stores, that is on my list. As soon as the product that we have here now hits the U.S. Distributor, then we will have enough stock in the U.S. where if 10 game stores came to us and said, give me one of everything, give me two of everything, we'd be able to fulfill them. Whereas right now, we just couldn't. We've got enough stock in the U.S. I don't even want to say for one game store, really, because we don't have a full set. In my mind, when a game store is interested, they're going to want one of every design, right, at the very least. That's 32 different boxes of the old set. That doesn't include the XL boxes, by the way. Um, but right now we don't have each of those in stock in the U.S. We're missing like 10 different designs on the multicolors. Um, so yeah, so we haven't done that yet, but it's definitely on my list of things to do uh, at the beginning of this year, probably mid-February, early March. And yeah, I'm very, very hopeful that that leads to some game stores being interested. And by the way, I'll do a quick shout out right now to Onboard Gaming. And they're in California, but I forget the city. So if you forgive me just for a second, I'm going to look them up. They found us on our last Kickstarter, and they ordered a full set of all of our boxes. And about 1 week ago today, they reached out to us and said, look, guys, we sold out of everything we had from you, and we need more. So we know that the interest is there. Um, but this is the first time that we actually heard it from a Magic the Gathering specialized shop who now has 32, or actually closer to 40, happy customers that love their boxes. So Onboard Gaming is in Escondido, California. They're at 316 West Mission Avenue, if anybody listening is in that area. Um, from what I can see, they are a great game store, great people. Nick, the owner, is a great guy. Eric, that works there, has been touching out and touching with us on the 40K boxes, and his knowledge of 40K is just amazing. So anybody in that area, yeah, give them a look because they're a really good game store. And Big Daddy, no worries. Hop back to work. I know how that is, and we will definitely let you know. That information will be hitting all of our social media channels when it happens. The best place to follow us probably is going to be on Instagram. I've been trying to post pictures there as often as I can, and I will continue to do so. So, Wiggy, yeah, that's actually part of our biggest problem is production time. The production time itself isn't the bad part. Because like I say, we can make about 20 boxes a day right now currently, and our bottleneck, by the way, is assembly. So it takes about between 2 and 4 hours of manual labor to assemble one box. And right now I have 4 full-time employees, but one of those is my artist. And I try to keep him um, busy doing artist stuff. So really I have 3 people working full-time to assemble boxes. And that equates out to about 20 boxes a day at most that we can finish. And that's pushing the limits. I mean, that's really working these guys hard, and I try not to do that so much. We try to keep it kind of casual. So I think our overall box per day um, production has been closer to 10 boxes than 20. Now, any more than 24 boxes per day, and we'd actually have to get a second laser. And social media, I did tweet this live. Um, did I tweet it? I put it on Instagram and Facebook. You know what? I don't think I tweeted it. That was actually my bad. I'm still new to this social media thing, man. Until the start of this Kickstarter, um, my the extent of my knowledge in social media was checking Facebook to see when the bands that I like are playing locally. So yeah, I'm not an expert at all, and it was really this Kickstarter that convinced me that I need to have a full-time social media expert working here. So that's something we'll be doing this year, or well, next year, which is like for me, our New Year's Eve is going to be 14 hours from now. We'll be dropping the ball here locally. So yeah, that should be fun. And holding stock, you know, um, I hear you. I do. So the uh, the dice tower that you just bought is going to be one that we actually made over a year ago, and um, this whole part of the business story is one that again we don't advertise, and and aside from this stream, I don't really talk about. And that is, we had a salesperson lined up that was going to do the social media and all of the various things salespeople do to get the word out about our products. And unfortunately, he had some health issues crop up right at the wrong time. And so we no longer have that. We don't have a salesperson. We don't have a social media expert. Um, we've got me, and I run the factory full time, and that's about all I've got time for. So our production here has really gone down in the last month, simply because I haven't been available to do the little things that I do most of the year. Um, I've spent a lot of time preparing the Kickstarter. And to give you an example, this Kickstarter was supposed to launch on October 1st, and we wanted to ship in time for people to get these products by Christmas. And we just couldn't make that happen. And I wasn't going to rush it. I could have done. I could have just launched, even though we weren't ready. But the result of that would have been that we would not have been able to ship on time. And then we would have had a lot of disappointed people. Now, we'd have had a lot more sales because we'd have hit the Christmas crowd. But again, I don't want that. I don't want people thinking bad about our product, even if they don't say something bad. I don't want them thinking bad about it because that's really bad for us in the long run. So I delayed it instead, and I pushed it out when we were finally ready. Um, yeah, and that's how I like to do things. I'd rather have 100 satisfied customers than 1,000 disappointed ones. That's just, yeah, not good for business. So anybody have any questions or any boxes you want to see in particular? We've got just about everything available here to put on camera if you got questions about them. And I appreciate that, Beowulf. I'll make sure that Notley gets those sent out to you tomorrow. Uh, yeah, you know what? It probably won't go out tomorrow. That's New Year's Eve. The Mono Blue XL. Let me go see if I can find that box to put on camera. Give me just a moment. I don't know if we have one done yet or not. Give me a sec. All right, so this mono blue design is the Baldur's Gate design, not the standard art, but it is the only full acrylic mono blue we have assembled right now. Of course, the regular standard art is available. We're custom making each of these, so you'd have to order on Kickstarter to get one. But yeah, the colors work really, really well. I like the blue. The blue acrylic just really pops. So we don't have any rejected designs really. Every design that we've made, for the most part, we put out. Um, the extra spacer add-on. Give me just a moment. Let me throw a couple. I'll put a blue one and like a red one so that you can see the what the different colors look like in there. Give me just a second. Okay, so those spacers, they lock in both on the top and the bottom. They've got holes in the bottom, on the inner acrylic bottom, uh, where the feet from the spacer stick in, and also on the rails on top they lock in as well. The result is if you have like a primary commander deck and then a side deck and then extra lands that you take to a tournament, you can keep all of those decks separated so that you can easily get to them without mixing them or whatever. And more importantly, at least in my mind, if you have only a single commander deck and you want to take it in this box, if you didn't have a spacer, your cards would almost lay flat in the box because there'd be nothing to hold them in, right? Because you'll only be using about half of the box. Whereas with this spacer, you can lock them in there so that they're nice and tight. Not too tight because you don't want them to bend or whatever, but they're tight enough to where they're not going to fall around and get wrinkled up or whatever while you're transporting them. And that's one of many features that we added because of customer feedback, and we really really like this one. Well, Ace, I'll tell you what, if it doesn't win you games, at the very least, it's going to impress the hell out of everybody else at the table because they're going to be like, what the fuck, with their little plastic orange Walmart box, right? So you can intimidate them right off the start with one of these. And you know what? I'll just shout out to those Walmart boxes. They're ugly, and it is what it is. But they do a damn good job of keeping your cards, protected. So there is that. And they're cheap. Hey, $5. So yeah, the spacers are great. Like I say, we send one with each box by default. And something we haven't advertised a lot yet is we are also starting to make even our regular commander decks with the same design. In other words, the holes in the bottom of the box and the ridges on the rails, so that you can add spacers to even a standard commander deck box, um, if you want to. Something else that we'll be adding over the next few months are going to be the XL boxes in wood and acrylic, um, for multicolor decks. Right now we just have the monocolors, but we do have them. Okay, that's something I haven't heard yet, Beowulf. Reminder tokens. Now, I'm not a Magic player. Now, I do know what a status token is. Let me find one of our design files. Give me a second. We actually played around with the idea of status tokens, acrylic ones, and I'm going to load up the file and let you look at it real quick and get your input. Let me put that on camera. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I gave the job to my designer one day and asked him to come up with status tokens that looked to be popular in MTG, and he sent me these. Um, so I take it this is not what you were talking about. Okay, now if you were to have like the perfect update token, like what you're talking about, upkeep token, what would it say? Or what design would it have engraved on it? Or just throw out ideas here for what you would like it to be like. Just upkeep. Okay. And you want it to be a round token. Now, would it make sense to make like to make a coin-shaped one that has like the tokens for red, blue, green, black, white? You know what I mean? The tokens that we have in the middle of each box as an engraving. Clear. Okay. Let me see if I've got. Oh, if I do, I don't know where it is. Clear, but the color of the box. Okay, gotcha. Um, so how many of those do you usually need in a game? Just one. Okay, you know what? That might be very, very simple. Give me just a moment to load this up and see what we've got here. So as you can see, we have a bunch of different design tokens for something round, right? So we have a lot of options. And by the way, these are the spinner options for the spinners that you get on top of your boxes. We've got a lot of different stuff in there. And of course, we also created standalone spinners. So we're going to start putting those out as well. We just haven't yet. Okay, we don't have anything like that yet, but I'll tell you what. Here's what I'm thinking. Let me go back to the camera. So imagine, if you would, let me see if I can make it so you don't have to imagine. Now, I can't take my mic with me out to the box, but I'm going to go add another box into the light box real quick that might explain what I'm thinking. Give me just a second. Okay, so you saw those spinners go in there, how I was able to pull them out, and they're locked in there with a magnet, a super strong rare earth magnet in the center. What I'm envisioning is another indent in the box, say up here in the corner, or maybe on the side that would hold another one of those round tokens, but not with a spinner on it for your upkeep marker. It would be completely clear, excepting that it would have a 5 millimeter rare earth magnet in the middle that would hold it into the box. Does that sound like something that would work? Okay, I will get my designer on that as an option. That is something that's very, very easily done because we've already got the designs for it. Um, yeah, and I might even find a better way so that we don't have to put a hole in the box to make it happen. Maybe we attach it with a magnet on the underside of the lid to where you can't see it from the outside, but you can pull it out when you need it. Something like that. And that might actually work better, to be honest, because that way we don't have to mess with the actual box design, other than putting a hole for the magnet. So yeah, that's a really good idea. I'll make sure we get that added. And that's something that we can add on. Um, wow, I don't want to say for free, maybe. Um, let me look into that. The magnets are the most expensive piece of the box, to be honest. Looking at these boxes now, the individual most expensive piece of any of our boxes are the magnets. We really had to go all out and buy decent ones, and we had to custom make them. They have to be custom fabricated for us because they didn't have the size that we needed. So magnets are definitely not something we like to just give away because they are super expensive. Uh, but yeah, we can definitely do that. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Beowulf, but I'm thinking it's not going to be expensive. I think as an add-on, $2 maybe. We'll keep it cheap. Um, but that way it covers the cost of the magnets and the extra assembly time. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, Wiggy, that is definitely an issue. And we're thinking the same thing with the spinners. Um, you know, I think we'll probably make it anyway because I think it's a good idea, and we will definitely be willing to sell you a replacement when you lose it. We can go the way of the cell phone companies, make them smaller and smaller, and eventually they'll just be buying one every month. And you guys that follow social media will notice that I was very careful not to put a pizza box in my video tonight. Okay, I thought that'd get a laugh. So anything else anybody want to see? Okay, Beowulf, I will definitely look into that. These little ideas are great. Um, and I know we're going to be putting out the status tokens. I don't know in what capacity. Maybe just as an extra that anybody can buy. I know we also looked for a little felt bag that we could put them in to make it nice and neat. Uh, and the reason we haven't actually produced those is we couldn't find bags that were cheap enough for us to buy in bulk that looked nice. So we just weren't comfortable with that. We don't want to just send a bunch of plastic chips with nothing to put them in, right? That'd be kind of foolish. We have a lot of the wooden ones, Nihilist. Do you have a particular color and or multicolor you want to see? Might take me a second to find one, but we've got them all. Okay, I don't know if Nihilist heard me or not. He wants to see wooden boxes. I'm gonna go find a couple while he's, unless he has a particular one that he posts. Um, until then, I'll go find a couple and put them in. I'll be right back. All right, so Nihilist, let's see what you have to say here. Normal blue wooden deck box. Okay, I'll get that next. For the one that's on the screen right now, this is our 5-color deck box. Standard, XL, sorry, it's not standard. I'll find one of your standards in a minute. With the red spacer. This one, if you saw me unbox that, that is exactly how all of your boxes from the Kickstarter will come. We keep them in the white gift box. We have the ribbon around it to help to pull it out. Beowulf, how much heavier is the full acrylic box? About 250 grams, if you know how much that is. If you don't, I'd have to convert it because I'm not sure. It's not too much heavier. They're fairly similar in weight, but the acrylic is definitely heavier than the wood. And on top of that, keep in mind too that the outer wood has a lot of cutouts, right? So it's not as heavy as a full sheet of acrylic that's an inner. Um, so there's that too. But yeah, this you saw me unbox it. This was one that's actually ready to ship. So it will come exactly like that when you receive it with the QA card on top. We use those cards to track the box through its entire process. So when I cut the acrylic and the wood, we will bundle them. We call them bundles. We'll bundle them into a stack, um, and that stack will be sent along with one of those cards through every step of the process thereafter, and the card stays with the box the entire time. Um, so in other words, the card is added right when the material is cut, so that we can mark QA problems if there are any on the card itself, so that we know which boxes need to be sent directly to the customer and which ones get to be marked as a defect and sold cheaper on Etsy. And by the way, that's something new in this Kickstarter as well. In our Etsy store, when this Kickstarter gets to the US, will be the first time ever that we're going to be sending defective boxes on Etsy. Um, Now, when I say defective boxes, the vast majority of the defects are very, very minor. Ones that, unless you were specifically looking for a problem, you probably wouldn't see it. Like, for instance, one of the little tiny pieces that get cut out or that are not supposed to be cut out gets cut out by the laser, or it gets a little bit too hot and it chars too much and it's really, really weak and it ends up breaking off. Or maybe the wood itself has a small defect, like a chip taken out of it, but we didn't see it when we were cutting on the full sheet, something like that. And so we keep track of all that from start to finish. And then when we send them out of here, any defective boxes go into their own box that's marked very, very clearly defective. And the white box itself will have a round sticker on it that says defective. Um, and then we'll sell them on Etsy for a considerable discount. And most of the time, those defects are going to be so small that most people won't care. Any really big defects never make it that far because we end up just throwing them in the garbage. So, yeah. Right, Wiggy, you didn't see it, but you would have been able to feel it. So that particular problem I was talking about is one that's unique to the all acrylic boxes. And we have never made them before. This is the first time we've made them, so that's a new problem that we didn't have before. And it only happens because all of our acrylic is different sizes. Now, inside of the wooden shell that you're looking at right here, if those pieces of acrylic in there were all different by zero point 0.2 millimeters, you would never know it because it's covered by wood. You would never see the edges and you couldn't feel that. It's not a big deal. We don't care. So all of those, we never adjusted the sizes of the tabs because it's not important. And the wood is all the same size because we cut each box on a single sheet of wood. When we first started this, that's one of the other lessons that we learned is that we initially put like all of the tops on one sheet, all the bottoms on another sheet, all the left side on one sheet, et cetera, et cetera. And if we do it that way, we can get a lot more use out of our wood. The problem is that our sheets of wood are different colors, and it's not obvious until you put them together on your box. By different colors, I mean just different shades of the same color. And the result when you put it together is so ugly. I mean, it's so bad. We had to throw away probably 200 boxes because we didn't know at the time that we can't. We have to cut the top and the bottom all together. So now the way we cut our boxes is we do one box for one row, and that's it. And we keep those pieces of wood together the entire time. They never get separated. They don't get mixed up. If the top of one piece has a defect, that entire box is defective. We can't recut that piece because if we do, it's going to be on a different piece of wood that might have a different color. So that's just one of the many lessons that we've learned over the course of the last 2 years of what not to do when making these boxes. Okay, so Nihilist, you wanted to see a standard size blue wooden deck box. It's going to take me just a minute to find one. Give me just a sec. I'll find it and I'll put it out there. 1 second. Okay, so two birds with one stone on this one. This is one of the defective boxes I was talking about. I don't know what the defect is on this particular box. I gave it a quick scan and I didn't see it. But it has enough of a defect on it that we marked it as defective. And yeah, so this one will be on sale on Etsy probably for about 20 bucks after this Kickstarter. So Nihilist, this is the standard size blue Commander deck box, wood and acrylic. No worries, Beowulf. You have 3 more days, I think it is, to do that. And then even then, don't feel panicked. So when you get your survey for this Kickstarter, we're going to be using Pledgebox for our survey. And when you do the survey, you'll have the option of adding any of our products to that order that you want to, including from our last Kickstarter. All of the products that we have will be available there also for you in that survey. And we've done that because then we can go ahead and create them and send them along with this Kickstarter here from the factory, so it doesn't use our stock up for our Etsy store in the U.S. The blue is really nice, and so is the black. You know, we got completely different designs for both, and you know, hey, they're both nice. So yeah, and I've got a bunch of messages here popping up. Let me just catch up on my messages here real quick before we continue. Seems like the busier I am, the more messages I get. Okay, any other questions, comments, suggestions, or any of the boxes you want to see? Nihilist, you want me to put a black one up by that blue one? Yeah, I think I'll do that. Give me just a minute. I'm going to find a black one to put next to that blue one. That black one is another failed QA black one. Um, from this round, I think we have about, I want to say 100 failed QA boxes. And we've got about 1,000 that we're sending out. So that's about 10%, which is about right. Any business is going to have about a 10% fail rate, this type of business. So I'm not completely disappointed with those numbers. Yeah, Wiggy, these aren't really failures per se. At least the vast majority of them are not. Most of them are wood defects. And the way we cut our sheets, um, let's say we have a sheet of wood that has, if you know anything about plywood, sometimes plywood has like discolorated um, pieces that go across them uh, from the plywood creation process. I don't know exactly what they use to do that, but it happens. So if we get a sheet of wood that has one of those, only about 5% of the sheet is bad. So we cut that sheet up into 6 smaller sheets, and each one of those smaller sheets makes 6 deck boxes. So we don't want to ruin the entire sheet, and we don't want to create a new cut file for that sheet, because creating the cut file actually takes longer than it does to just go ahead and process it and throw out any bad boxes that result. So what I'm getting at is we're always going to have some bad material, and that bad material is probably going to be processed simply so that we don't waste all the good material that's around the bad part. And then after we get the box processed, then we'll just fail that box out of QA, and we'll sell it a little bit cheaper. And that is still profitable for us. I mean, we're not going to lose money. We probably won't make any money on the failed QA ones, but we're definitely not going to lose money. And then we'll have another happy customer that would not have normally been able to afford one of our boxes otherwise. So it's a win-win. Yeah, Nihilist, we really like all of our designs. Um, it's really hard to pick a favorite, right? I think each one of our colored designs have advantages and disadvantages from the others, right? They all have good pieces of art associated. Some sides are a little bit worse than others, right? Some weaker than others, but they're all great. So Beowulf, that's a really good question, and I think it has to do with the way that the sheets of acrylic are created. Um, to be perfectly honest, I've never seen that process done, so I don't know whether it's a issue with quality control at the acrylic factory, or if when they say 3 millimeters, if that really means a range from 2.5 to 3.5. And agreed, Wiggy. That's actually something that Notley does, and he's got a whole spreadsheet with terms that he's going to use um, to sell these boxes. We call them defects here at the shop, but that word will probably never make it to the marketing. But I want to be clear. We will make it absolutely clear that this is a product that didn't live up to our quality control standards. We might not call it defects, like you say. There's better ways to say it, and Notley will do that, and he'll come up with a good way to wordsmith that. But he'll also make it clear that these are not up to our quality, and that's why they're cheaper. No, we've actually never sold any of those boxes before. We've had over the last 2 years, I'd say 500 to 700 boxes that we've had to throw away. Most of those mistakes were in one big lump of about 250. And that time was, like I said, it was the color difference in the wood. And we were making the tops and the bottoms separately at that time because it was easier to do it that way. And we could make them faster that way. Because if you get a production line going and you're just making box tops, it's simple. You just do one, do the next, do the next, do the next. It's quick, 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 quick. And cutting them is simpler as well because you don't waste as much wood. You can, if you have one Um, one sheet full of the same shape, you can adjust that shape so that it takes up as little room as possible on the wood and you get less scrap. Um, and so it made sense to me at the time to do it that way. Well, it turns out that was absolutely not a good way to do it. And we found out about it about 2 months later when we did our final assembly on 250 boxes. And we had to throw every single one of them away. We couldn't use any of them. It was really bad. I'll see if I can find some pictures on those and post them at some point to show one of our biggest fails. But yeah, it was pretty bad. And back in the day, we've actually got two lasers. One of them is called a 1325, and the other one is called a 1390. The 1325 means that it's 1300 millimeters by 2500 millimeters, or in other words, it'll handle a full 4 foot by 8 foot sheet of material. Now, when we first got into this business, we bought that laser because all of our material comes from the factories, the acrylic and the wood, in 4 foot by 8 foot sheets. And it just made sense that we wanted a laser that would be able to accommodate that size. That laser, it turns out, has a couple really big issues with it. The first is exhaust. Um, there is no way to pipe the exhaust out of the building. Now, it's got fans, and it does suck a good majority of the smoke out, but not all of it because it's not covered. The entire top is open to the air. So that's one bad part. When we run that big laser in the shop quickly fills up with smoke if we don't have all the doors open. And that's, of course, dangerous, and it's smelly. It's just not a good thing. Now, even worse, though, that particular laser, when you do a full sheet cut, and by full sheet, I mean 4 foot by 8 foot, it can take 48 hours to engrave that much acrylic. And we were doing that at the beginning. At the beginning, we just paused it at night and we restarted it again in the morning. And the problem is with that particular laser, every once in a while, it would skip by north 1 millimeter. And the problem with that is when you get one or two of those in a row, it would start cutting into the piece above it or the piece below it, and it would ruin an entire sheet. And that would be so hard to see from your perspective as an outside viewer from the side of the laser that we would sometimes get almost a full sheet cut before we realized that all of those pieces are just ruined. So not only did we lose a full sheet of material, which is quite expensive, we also lost 48 hours of laser time each time that happened. And yeah, that was a nightmare. So Wiggy, we do have a system like that set up. Um, it's not exactly like that, but we did have one set up like that, similar kind of. But no matter how good your system is, it can't move with the laser's gantry, and so you will never catch all the smoke. So it's just not a good laser to use inside of an enclosed area. I mean, that's really the end all be all of it. So the second laser that we bought, the 1390, is only 1300 millimeters by 900 millimeters. And of that, we actually decided to use sheets that are 600 by 800 millimeters in size. That made the most sense to us. We can cut each of our big 4 foot by 8 foot sheets into 6 of those. Um, and then we use those in a template on the laser that lets us put the sheet in the exact same place on the laser all the time, um, so that we can do multiple cuts off the same sheet without having to manually align the laser every single time. And it works really, really well. And that one is fully enclosed, and we have a good ventilation system. It's actually good enough so that when the little laser is running, even when we're doing high smoke cuts, which is wood and full cut, you can't even smell it in the shop. Not even the slightest twinge of wood smoke um, inside the shop. So it's really, really good. So we use that one laser for 90% of everything we do, and we only use the big laser when we get material sent to us in bulk. And then that very first day when we get the material, we'll cut it all down to the 600 by 800 sheets. Then we'll store those in the back, and the big laser will be turned off and covered up, and we won't touch it again until the next time we order material. So that's essentially how we work. That is essentially right, Wiggy. And in fact, our plan going forward is to take that big laser out of the main shop and set it out in the back of our shop where we have a covered area like a kind of like a carport, but the cover is really, really good and it comes down almost to the ground, but not quite. And we're going to buy a custom um, vinyl cover for it so that we only uncover it when we need it. And then we can fit two more of the small lasers in our main shop. And that's our plan for about March of this next year. Beowulf, I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm going to guess yes. That's only a guess. And during the first of the year, the second or the third, probably just before the Kickstarter closes, my staff will be back here and I'll test that theory. But I've got no idea where the cards are. We've got a couple decks here somewhere. Um, but honestly, I've got no idea where they're at, and it would take me a long time to find them. And then, of course, I'd have to unsleeve them and re-sleeve them and yada yada. I'll let the staff do that, and I'll find out. But my gut's telling me that yes, single sleeved, you'll definitely be able to fit 200 cards in there. Because I think we can fit 150 or 170 double sleeved cards in that deck. No problem, Nihilist. If there's anything else you want to see, I'd be happy to throw it in there for you. We'll probably wind down the stream here in a little bit because it is New Year's Eve, and if I don't get a little bit of sleep today at some point, the guys are going to kill me tonight with their shots. I'm sure. I'm definitely not an innocent. I will be praying to the tequila gods in about 12 hours. New Year's is one of the only nights of the year where I actually go out and have fun. So, yeah, it's going to be a good one or a bad one, depending on your point of view. Thank you, Nihilist. You too. And a happy new year to all of you. Um, with any luck at all, this is going to be a really, really good new year. And yep, tequila is great if you get the good stuff. I'm kind of a I'm kind of a prissy when it comes to tequila. I've got to have Patron. Uh, they sell some truly, truly nasty tequila here. If you go into any of the bars here where I live and you just order a tequila, if you don't tell them what you want, you're going to get either Toro or Sierra. And both of those would work really, really well to clean the paint off of our acrylic. And I'm not joking at all. It would actually work really, really well. Um, it's like turpentine, and it will really mess you up. So for me, it's got to be Patron. I prefer Patron Grand Platinum if I can find it. Not a lot of places here have that. It's kind of expensive, but Patron Silver is good. Um, yeah, and Wiggy, yeah, my college days. My God, I don't even want to go there. But yeah, I learned how to drink in college, and it was not very pretty back in the day. Uh, that was a long, long time ago. So All right, so as far as our giveaways go, we are going to be contacting you. I'm actually going to farm this out to Notley and give him the names of everybody that was here. He's going to go through the chat, and he has been. He's already been commenting to me about you guys' comments. And he's going to pick out some really good products for you. And he's going to be contacting you in the next few days and let you know what you won. And if you ordered from us on Kickstarter, then um, whatever it is that you won will come with your Kickstarter order. If you did not order from us on Kickstarter and you live in the U.S., and if we have it in stock now, then you'll receive it fairly soon. It'll ship next week. Free shipping, of course, in the U.S. If you're international from the U.S., we'll talk about it. If the shipping is not too crazy, then I'll just go ahead and send it, no charge. Some of those international sales, though, are really expensive, so we'll see. Um, and if you didn't order it on Kickstarter, but you're international, then I'll ship it from here, um, and probably again right away. So we'll see how that goes. And again, you'll be hearing from us by the end of Kickstarter, which is Tuesday, 4 days from now. I'd like to say it's going to be sooner, but with New Year's, it depends on how sober everybody is on the first. I know I'll be at work, but I can't guarantee that Notley will, and he's going to be the one that has to ship these out. So it's going to be on him for a lot of this. Uh, so with that, I will say Happy New Year and good night. Um, Before I close the camera down, I will accidentally pick it up and show a quick view of the shop. It is incredibly messy at the moment because I've been here alone for almost a week, and I've got bits and bobs set here and there from taking pictures and whatnot. But you guys will get a look at the main shop area with the two big lasers. Um, and then I'll turn the camera off shortly thereafter. That'll happen in just a second. And I'm really satisfied with this live stream. We had a bunch of viewers there at one point, even though a lot of people didn't talk. So yeah, thank you all, and thanks for backing the Kickstarter. We really do appreciate it. And definitely take these boxes with you to your games and let people know where they came from, because we're hoping to expand pretty heavy in the next year. And you guys are going to be kind of instrumental in us doing that. So we really, really appreciate it. And have a happy new year, and I'll talk to you all again soon.
that was the end of it. I went ahead and shut the camera off, and yeah, I didn't intend on showing that much of the shop, but it is what it is. It's not a huge place. Um, it's what we could afford back when we first started this up. Um, Prices are fairly low here. I live in Southeast Asia, in Thailand actually, and the only negative thing I can say about us having our shop here is the humidity. And at the time when we opened the shop, we didn't understand about that. We do now. So that back room you saw me go into, we've got that back room sealed, and the air conditioner stays on 24/7, and we have two dehumidifiers in that room as well. Now, every time we open up that door to the main part of the shop, all production stops for 30 minutes, and that door has to be resealed, and then the humidity needs to drop below 50% again before we start production. So, of course, there's no production today because the staff have the week off for New Year's, which, by the way, is not common here in this part of the world. Most of the time, people take one day off at most, and that's the first. But as a U.S. company, I decided to give the week off just, you know, as a perk, I guess. Um, so the labor here is fairly cheap. We get each of our employees for about, I don't know, 700 or so dollars a month U.S., which is way above minimum wage here. We pay fairly well, and everybody's happy. They're making twice as much as they would at another job. Um, so we keep everybody happy, and we think that our perks are better than most. All they can drink and eat is on us when they're here. Um, we have computers and or tablets they can watch movies on or whatever while they're assembling. And we try to keep it fun, keep it casual, and at the same time try to keep our production numbers high. So far, it's working out. So yeah, I'm happy with the shop. I wish it was about twice as much square feet. The last thing I'll comment on is all those boxes. You saw me open one, but all of those boxes are finished product and ready to ship. So when I said that we're ahead of schedule and that this Kickstarter, aside from the custom pieces that need to be made, is finished, I was definitely not joking. They are completely done, QA'd, and everything's ready to go. Uh, so yeah, things are going really good. This was a really good year. Um, and hopefully the next one will be the same. And not only for us, but for all of you too. So again, I really appreciate it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and close the stream now and get home and get some sleep, even though it's 10 in the morning. And you guys have a great weekend and an excellent new year. And I will see you all in 2023.